how to eliminate blunders. Here we'll keep revealing some simple yet very effective techniques that will make you a blunder-free player. Okay, and before we move on to the next advices, let's quickly recollect what we've been talking about in this lesson. We came to know that a blunder is the main reason for loss in amateur games. Therefore, if you can eliminate blunders from your games, this one change alone can bring a significant positive impact on your play. And in this lesson we're learning the anti-blunder techniques for the whole process of a game, starting from the very beginning until the end. In the first part of this lesson we have analyzed the pre-game preparation, also we analyzed an opening stage, and we came to the middle game stage. As for the middle game stage, we have learned one very important rule, which states that you always should keep track of your opponent's plans. Practically this means that after an opponent's move, before starting to think about your own ideas, first of all you need to keep track of your opponent's plans. You need to ask yourself a question: what is an idea behind the last opponent's move and what is he going to do next? That's where we ended the previous lesson, and now let's move forward. Okay, imagine you're playing a game and your opponent just has played his move. So now it's your turn. As we already know, first you need to think about an opponent's last move. And okay, let's say you have done it already, you revealed his plan and took it into account. Now it's time for you to think about your own following move and to detect the best one. After some thinking, you'll find the move which seems to be the best for you. Should you just play it? No, there is an important safety measure here. Before playing your following move on the board, you need to perform an anti-blunder check. This means that before playing your following move on the board, you need to ask yourself, which attacking, forcing replies can my opponent play? In most cases, your opponent has only a few eventual attacking replies and you can spot them easily. And only after you check his eventual aggressive replies and made sure that it's not dangerous for you, only then you may move on and play your move on the board. In this position, white played rook to f3. It makes sense. White wants to push away the black's queen and maybe play e4 on the next move. However, white forgot to perform the anti-blunder check. White forgot to ask himself, which forcing attacking replies can my opponent play? Otherwise, he would certainly notice that black can take rook takes d5 using the back rank weakness. The following variation is very simple, and all the following moves are completely forcing. Rook d1, bishop f1 is the only move, rook takes, king goes to g2, and knight takes e3, forking the white's king and queen and getting a decisive material advantage. The white player is in the list of the world's 100 best players, so why did he overlook this simple variation? As we already know, he simply forgot to perform the anti-blunder check. That's why I insistently recommend that you perform it always. Before playing your following move on the board, ask yourself which attacking, forcing replies can my opponent play. It's especially important to perform this anti-blunder check when you're going to play on an opponent's half of the board. That territory is controlled by his army, and therefore you must be especially careful. Now let me tell you one really cool thing. The last two techniques we analyzed together will help you to eliminate 80% of your blunders. This is certainly great. So take it seriously. Even if you don't remember anything else from this lesson, remember just these two rules and this will serve you very well. So first, after an opponent's move, ask yourself what is an idea behind that move and what is he going to do next. After that, think about your move, and once you decided what you're going to play, perform the anti-blunder check. Ask yourself which attacking replies can my opponent play. If you follow this process of thinking, you will eliminate most of your blunders. Okay, let's go to the next advice. Grasp the initiative. Practically, it's a lot easier to attack than to defend. A defender must keep an eye on all of the possible attacking possibilities of his opponent. You need to calculate variations precisely, and your single mistake can be fatal. This is a hard task and it's easy to overlook something. That's why it's not surprising that defenders blunder much more often. This means that you should grasp the initiative. If there is a critical position and you need to choose the right plan, choose the most aggressive one. If there is a branching point and you have several unclear and approximately equal possibilities, again, choose the most initiative one. Don't be too greedy for material, strive for activity. This is a pretty standard position of Queen's Indian defense, and here white can use a typical positional sacrifice d5. After e takes, white will go knight to d4. It favors white's activity, opens the diagonal for the white's bishop, the knight can go to f5 in the future, and all in all it gives white more initiative position. Of course, it's impossible to evaluate all consequences of this sacrifice, but still it makes sense to use this variation. Keep in mind that it's easier to attack than to defend. Keep in mind that if you have an approximately equal choice from several unclear possibilities, you need to select the most aggressive one. This is a proper practical approach. Here's another typical situation, and now black has a choice. He can either take the c4 pawn or not. So what should you do in such situations? If black takes that pawn, he'll get a little material advantage, but at the same time it lets white to build a strong pawn center in the future. It will give white a space advantage and a lasting initiative. I recommend that you avoid such situations for black. Well, please hear me out. I'm not saying that d takes c4 is a bad move. It's good, and for a computer it's probably the best choice. But we're humans, and we dislike defense, and it's hard for us. That's why from the practical standpoint, I recommend that you avoid such situations when you give initiative to your opponent. Of course, there is no rule that you can follow unthinkingly in 100% of situations. Sometimes there may be an exception, and of course you need to evaluate a certain specific position before making a final decision. Nevertheless, in most cases this rule works, and you should grasp the initiative. Let your opponent to be a defender and make blunders.